Though there are protections that disallow attacks on individuals based upon their sexual orientation, there are loopholes in our current court systems that allow for homophobic individuals to get away with, let's say, attacking and even murdering LGBT individuals and not have to spend that much time in prison. This loophole is known as the gay trans pank defense. The gay pank defense and the trans pank defense being two different things which we will touch upon later in our talk about how exactly it's used. For now, we're going to talk about how society views the pank defense and how society views LGBT individuals. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how you, as a citizen of this lovely nation, can make a change and stand up for what you believe in. In June 2020, Dr. Anderson, a professor who earned his PhD in criminal justice, wrote in his news article, "I track murder cases that use the gay trans pank defense," and lists all of the states that have banned the gay trans pank defense and that have introduced the idea of banning the gay trans pank defense. Those that have banned it totaling up into 12 states, and those that have introduced it into 8 states, making a grand total of 20 out of the 30 states that have decided to make a change and to stop letting injustices continue in their own state. Let me mention that for him, he explains trying to find this information as difficult due to the fact that our government does not categorize any of our court cases by sexual orientation or by the defense strategies that are used and employed during those trials that have gone over. As stated in their June 2015 article, two sexuality and law authors, Rhoda and Pamphil, explain in their article, "Don't Talk to Me About Deception, the necessary erosion of the trans pank defense," where they explain how society views trans individuals based upon our television watching. That being in a lot of talk shows and as such of Jerry Springer, they bring on individuals, trans individuals, with the full intent of making fun of them, titling those shows, "I slept with a tranny," "I was catfished by a tranny," so on and so on, only later replacing the word tranny with man due to backlash, while still also being harmful due to the fact that it's misgendering them and denying the identity that they so rightly deserve. And I know we're going to get into more details on this later, but we're going to talk about how exactly it's used for the gays due to the fact that we are typically seen as predatory and manipulative towards straight men. Most of the court cases using the gay pank defense, using it as I was being attacked, he kept putting unwanted advances on me, so I was forced to attack him and or even murder him in self-defense. Law Professor Lee explains in our 2008 article, Panic Defense, how exactly these two differ. And we're going to talk about how they differ right now. How the trans pank defense is used. For gay men versus transgender women typically have it used against them as an insanity case or diminished capacity, meaning that the attacker had low intelligence, low IQ. In those cases, they use it and they paint it such as the trans individual did not let them know and it was their fault that as such they were attacked and murdered, because the attacker could not process such things, which is completely likely due to, as it's seen in her article, where she goes over the psychiatric evaluations, speaking on how bogus they were, in use of lack of better terms. She also talks about how the gays are affected as well in this, that being almost all of their cases being self-defense and provocation. Provocation being, hey, I told them I was gay and they couldn't take that correctly, or I flirted with the wrong person and they ended up attacking me. Another example of this case would be a trans individual by the name of Gwen Arjuro. I've taken this information from the People Pill, which is a Wikipedia for people. As such, after I fact-checked it, I decided to use it as a source, looking through all the news article sources they had listed, seeing as it was accurate. In this case, she was a transgender teen of the age of 17 who was brutally beaten and then murdered by 4 people, 2 of which she was sexually active with. In the court cases, 4 of the individuals were used as suspect. 2 of them had gotten lighter sentences, and the other 2 had been given charges such as they were simply accomplices. The 2 that had charges lowered on them due to the fact that Gwen was a trans woman and she had not told them that she was trans, hence leading up to her murder. The defendants used this as an excuse as to, hey, he does not deserve this much time given to him because necessarily it's not his fault. He was only acting in a way that would be seen as a little intense, but still right, even though it was by no means right, leaving her mother to run trans organizations and to try to make a change, despite losing her daughter in 2002. Now that we've talked about how exactly it's used, I want to talk about how you can make a difference in your community. I got this information from the Government of Washington legislation site, where they explain things as how you can make a difference and how you can talk to your legislators. A few of those things being to actually get to know your legislators and to get to know them, to talk to them, to see if you can get an equal footing with them. And then when you have all the information you need, once you've gotten to know them, you talk to them through their town meetings or you set up a meeting in general to see if you can try to pass dialogue and make that change inevitable. It may not always work. It may not always take one go. You may have to go at it over and over again, and that's fine. As long as you are respectful, I may add, otherwise they're not going to listen to you at all. And if you actually do your research. Yes, I would love for you guys to speak on this. I would love for you guys to talk about how change needs to be done. But we cannot do that if you do not put forth the appropriate amount of research. And that's what they are looking for, research. They are looking for a reason to do this. They are looking for people to back it. And if you cannot put forth that research, if you cannot put forth the people to back it, they are not going to make any changes. Now that we've talked about how it's worked, how we have viewed it, and how you yourself can make a change, we're going to talk about some of the pros. There are no pros. I see no reason absolutely whatsoever where we could allow such things to happen. One of my articles and one of my sources that we use actually speaks against this, Cynthia Lee. She speaks about how we shouldn't do this, otherwise there are going to be more underhanded ways that aren't as visible for them to use homophobia to garner less time or even get out. And to my rebuttal for that is, even if it's unseen, it's better that we have the more outwardly ones taken out first so that we can actually make forward steps and get rid of the, let's say, lesser known defense strategies there are. Thank you for coming with me. My name is Justin Wilson, and this has been the Gay Trans Panic Defense.